So, hello everyone, welcome to free crash course on competitive exams held by VIRAT Hindustan Sangham in association with Manifest IAS, Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. Subramanian SWAMY, Rajya Sabha MP, and it is convened by Sri Ravishankar Sir, State Education Convener for VIRAT Hindustan Sangham, Karnataka branch, and also the President of Good Neighbors India NGO. I am the chief mentor of your program. I have the expertise in teaching civil service aspirants for past 5 years, right? We are doing 8 topics. Basically, polity and history is done. We are negotiating the economic part. Economy, the chief source for you is Indian Economy by Srirangam. What to expect out of these classes? Seniors can use it as a revision course. Freshers to clear all your concepts, right? So you can watch this entire program is held online. You can watch it on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham and also on the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. And for further any queries, any doubt clearing or free mentoring, you can join our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum, VHS Space Education Forum on the Telegram app, right? Okay. So we were talking about public sector yesterday. So we finished with the Mini Ratna, Navratna and all those things and what the public sector is entitled to. Today we will talk about the challenges to public sector, challenges for public sector undertakings. What are the challenges in its growth? Okay, so the first challenge is any public sector, any company, they have to be private oriented. That is, they have to be profit oriented in order to do what? In order to make profits. But what happens? Being a part of public sector, they cannot be welfare oriented. They won't be concentrated on welfare. They will be concentrated on welfare of the citizens. Why welfare of the citizens? These are not profit oriented companies, right? They work in the for the social upliftment. Why? Because they are part of the Article 12. So Article 12 defines what in Indian Constitution? It defines what the definition of a state. What is a state? State includes what? Public sector undertakings as well. Article 12 includes state, right? So your state definition, you have what? You have central government, you have state government and also the legislature, judiciary and also the public sector undertakings. Because of welfare orientedness, the efficiency of public sector undertakings comes down. Next, tenure of CEO and board of directors. See, this CEO, chief executive officers and board of directors, they are appointed only for 1 or 2 years. So they are going to plan only for those 2 years. They are not going to invest more energy. They are not going to plan beyond that. They are not going to have long-term plan. They won't do any innovation. They won't buy any innovative equipments, because of which the efficiency will come down. Next, multiple audit. Multiple audit means what? Every public sector undertaking is subjected to multiple audits. First is the private audit. Next is the supplementary audit. Supplementary audit is carried out by even the CAG, right? So because of which the functioning, that is the public sector undertaking people, the workers, they will be feared. The decision making will be feared, because audit, if they show anything averse, they will be subjected to penalty. So that is one shortcoming. Next, role of administrative ministry. Every public sector undertaking is under certain ministry. So BEL is under Ministry of Electronics, like that. Every public sector undertaking is under some ministry. So those ministry, from time to time, they are going to give directions. They are going to interfere in the working of the public sector undertakings. Because of all these things, the efficiency of the public sector undertakings comes down. That is also a drawback. Next, you have non-commercial activities. See, these public sector undertakings, they actually do not function as a commercial entity. Commercial entity which deals with profit. They do the non-commercial activities, that is, which is for the welfare of the society. That is also the reason why the shortcoming of PSUs will be there in India. Next, in order to in order to repair these shortcomings, in order to get out of these shortcomings, in order to improvise the working of public sector undertakings, we have ad hoc group of experts report, AGE report, AGE report 2004. So ad hoc group of reports, ad hoc group of expert reports gives the recommendation how to improvise the public sector undertakings 2004. So anything, any question related to public sector, you have to mention this person's name, Arjun Sen Gupta. He gives the recommendations in the AGE report. So what does they say in the AGE report? First is empower the central public sector enterprises. You have to empower them. How do you empower them? You invest more money. You give them more autonomy. You give them more independence, right? Because of all these things, you can empower the public sector undertaking. You have to make the public sector undertaking strong. How to empower? First, give freedom to them, autonomy to them. Next, make the boards independent. That is, boards should not be dependent on the government. The boards have to be really independent. That is the next thing. Then the ministry interference should be stopped. Ministry interfering in the work of the public sector undertaking should be stopped. Next, you have supplementary audit. Supplementary audit carried out by the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, should be an exception. The supplementary audit should be an exception. It should not be a rule. That is one of the recommendation. Audit should not be frequent. That is one of the things. Then the accountability to the parliament. What happens? Parliament, from these parliamentary committees, from the time to time, they call these public sector enterprises directors and other people. They call them and they seek reports. So accountability to the parliament should also be reduced in order to improve the efficiency. See, in other cases, government, when it comes to government functioning, the accountability to the parliament should increase. But when it comes to public sector undertakings, accountability to the parliament should decrease, because parliamentarians are not experts in doing the functioning, in carrying out the functioning of public sector undertakings. So we have to reduce their accountability to the parliament. Next, you have purchase preference policy. What is this purchase preference policy? See, let us say one public sector enterprises is manufacturing what? Let us say computer. It is manufacturing a computer. It is costing 50,000 rupees in the market. Let us say one private sector enterprises is manufacturing a computer. It is costing what? 46,000 rupees. So under purchase preference policy, what is purchase preference policy? See, what they do, they are going to, this is public sector, this is private sector. So what they are going to do, they are going to compare the prices. Government, if the government, see, this purchase preference policy is with respect to the government procurement. When the government procures the goods, government want a computer, so they are going to compare the price. See, this is 50,000. This is how much? 46,000, 4,000 rupees less. So, is this within the 10%? See, what is the 10% of this? It is 5,000 rupees. So, if this price falls within the 5,000, see, generally according to the market principle, they should go for this, because same computer is 46,000. But since it is a public sector, if this price is within the 10% of the MRP, MRP is 50,000, 46,000 is within 10%, right? So then they are going to go for public sector only, in order to boost the public sector, in order to give more orders to the public sector, so that it becomes strong. This is the purchase preference policy. Next, we will talk about the foreign trade. So public sector chapter is done. We have to talk about foreign trade. What is foreign trade? See, foreign trade means trade among the nations. Import and export. Foreign trade largely involves what? Import and export among the countries, right? So why foreign trade is important? Because no country is self-sufficient. Every country depends on the other country. Can we call India a self-sufficient country? No, because we are dependent on oil from Gulf countries. We are dependent on rare earth materials from China. So we are importing lot many things. Also, no country can be self-sufficient, right? So that is why export and import is required. Export and import is required. Foreign trade, which is the organization which regulates the foreign trade. It is actually World Trade Organization. It gives the recommendation with respect to the foreign trade. So with respect to the foreign trade, there are two concepts. One is trade surplus, another is trade deficit. See, I told you, whenever foreign trade comes, it is all about import and export. So for trade surplus means what? When the export is more than import. Export is more than import, then it is trade surplus. We are exporting more products. When what is trade deficit? When import is more than export. When import is more than export, then it is called trade deficit. This is the concept of trade surplus and trade deficit. India's Exim policy. What is India Exim policy? First of all, do we have a need to have a Exim policy? Exim means what? Export, import. Why Exim policy is needed? See, India is importing lot of products from the countries, from so many countries. India is also exporting so many products to various countries. Even that is the case, and also India exports the products from various states, right? Various states are involved in the export, and India also exports to various countries. So when that is the case, we should have a policy in order to boost the exports, and reduce our imports, right? So and also to ease the process of exports, right? So we have a export policy, Exim policy. So why Exim policy? One is protectionism. So we will discuss the evolution. This is how the export-import policy evolved in India. How it evolved in India. First, there was protectionism. Protectionism means what? So, India was a closed economy. India was a closed economy. Foreign goods were not allowed inside India. Foreign goods were not allowed inside India. Why foreign goods is not allowed within India? Because if foreign goods come, they are going to be a competition to the local goods. Domestically manufactured goods, there will be competition. They will suffer. That is why India carried out the protectionism. So similar is the case with Donald Trump's America for Americans. Why America for Americans? So that is why he introduced this H1B visa regulations. H1B visa regulations. Why H1B visa? Because he made earlier H1B visa used to be given in lakhs. So he reduced it to thousands. So why? Because there was lot of employment in USA which was taken away by Indians and Chinese population. So Donald Trump actually wanted to reduce it and give the jobs to the Americans. So it is a protectionist policy. So India initial times was following this protectionist policy in order to protect its domestic industries, right? Next you have import substitution. You have the concept of import substitution. That is, instead of importing a product, we will manufacture the product within India itself. Let's say, for example, instead of importing a car, we will manufacture the product within India itself. That was a policy designed. That was a policy followed during the initial years. Next, we have self-reliance. So there is a difference between self-sufficiency and self-reliance. Self-sufficiency means what? Every country is full of resources. It doesn't require anything from any country. That is self-sufficiency. Self-reliance means depending on ourselves, growth based on ourselves. For example, your Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a concept of self-reliance, not self-sufficiency. Even your Make in India. Make in India is also a concept which comes under self-reliance, right? Okay. So this is all about, this is how the Indian Exim policy began after independence. After independence, we were following these three things. So then comes 1991, liberalization, privatization and globalization. This was started in 1991. So what is this? What did we do? First we devalued the rupee. Devalued the rupee. What do you mean by devaluation? See, earlier RBI. So earlier RBI used to fix the rupee rate. $1 is equal to 20 rupees or something like that. RBI used to fix the exchange rate. This is called managed exchange rate. Managed exchange rate, right? This is called managed exchange rate. So the rupee was actually having high value. Suddenly rupee was devalued. Means devaluation means the value was brought down. $1 is equal to 40 rupees. The rupee was devalued. When rupee devalued, what happens? The export increased. Why? Earlier, see, when $1 was 20 rupees, let's say one mango used to cost 20 rupees. This is rupees. One mango used to cost 20 rupees. So by putting $1, India used to export. For $1, India used to export one mango. So after rupee was devalued, for $1, India is exporting 2 mangoes. So because of his devaluation, export increased. Right? Next you have convertibility. We introduced convertibility. See, earlier there was no convertibility. So convertibility means what? Converting foreign currency into Indian rupee and foreign currency into Indian rupee and Indian rupee into foreign currency. This conversion is called convertibility. Convertibility of the rupee, right? So earlier this was actually restricted, very limited conversion. But after 1991, we opened. See, in convertibility there are two things. One is current account convertibility. Another is capital account convertibility. We did not open the capital account convertibility. Rather, we opened the current account convertibility. Current account convertibility was opened. That is, current account means what? Current account means trade. Trade. Remittances. Remittances means what? Money deposited by Indian origin people in India. Remittances, trade, import, export. All that falls under current account, for which rupee convertibility was allowed. How much ever money you want, you could convert. But capital account, what is capital account? Your loans borrowed by the Indian government or private enterprise and from the foreign country, and also investment, FDI, FII, all those things come under the capital account. So for capital account, we have not allowed the convertibility. Capital accountability, convertibility illa. Current account ke there is convertibility in India, right? Next, you have customs duty. So earlier the customs duty was very high. Customs duty was very high. It was too much. Now it was more than 30-40%. Now after 1991, the customs duty was reduced to 10%. Customs duty was reduced to 10%. What is customs duty? A product comes from America to India. Let's say the product is 100 rupees. We will put 10 rupees tax on that product when it enters the Indian border. That is ports, that is harbors or airport. We will put 10% tax and take the product in India. That is customs duty, right? Then we made the after 1991, we made the economy competitive. There was only one company which was manufacturing car before 1991. Now more companies started coming. So there was lot of competition in the economy. Next, foreign trade policy. India's foreign trade policy. What is India's trade policy? Foreign trade policy, India considers trade is an end in itself. Trade is an end in itself. What do you mean by trade is an end in itself? We have to take the trade outside everything. We should not link it with politics. We should not link it with geography. We should not link it with race, religion. We should not link it with society, language. So, trade is an end in itself. It is an independent entity. We should look the trade as such. That is what is the goal of the India's foreign trade policy. So, what is the percentage of India's trade in merchandise? First, let us understand the concept of merchandise. What do you mean by merchandise? See, there are two trades. One is merchandise trade and another is service trade. What is merchandise? Merchandise means physical goods. Physical goods. Let us say we are exporting this bottle. So this is a merchandise good. This is a physical good. We can hold it. Whereas I am teaching you. Is it a merchandise good? No, it is a service. It is invisible. Surface. So non-merchandise goods are also called invisible. This teaching is not visible. We cannot hold it, right? So trade in merchandise, India, how much? 1.7% export. If 100 goods are getting exported around the world, 100 goods are getting exported. Goods, physical goods, merchandise goods, 1.7 goods come from India. 1.7 goods. However, what is the percentage with respect to China? China export is 15. Merchandise export is 15% of the goods in export, right? So we are nowhere in comparison to China, right? Okay. Next, merchandise import. How much is the merchandise import into India? It is 2.4% in the world. So with respect to merchandise, our imports are higher than our exports, right? Next, in order to India's Exim policy, we have SEZ. What is SEZ? Special Economic Zone. This Special Economic Zone was started by Special SEZ Policy 2005. SEZ Policy 2005 speaks about this Special Economic Zone, right? What is this Special Economic Zone? What does it do? So there in Special Economic Zone, the taxes are very less. The taxation is very less in Special Economic Zone. That is one thing. And government will act as a facilitator. If you want any permit, if you want any license, so government will help you get that. That is second facility. Third is the interest, the loans, the capital which you get are actually at very less interest rate. That is one thing. And for fourth, you have export subsidy. You get export subsidy. All these are the facilities under Special Economic Zone. See why Special Economic Zone? There, if you make the Special Economic Zone, obviously, right, there will be additional economic activity, right? So there is normal economy. Normal economic zone idre, there what happens if under normal economic zone, if certain products are manufacturing, if there is Special Economic Zone, obviously due to the benefits given in Special Economic Zone, what will happen? The economic activity in that economic zone will increase. That is the first benefit. Then it is export oriented. SEZ, whatever the manufacture, whatever the products that are manufactured, actually they are manufactured for export purpose. They won't be traded in the domestic trade area. See, there is one concept called foreign export oriented goods, export orientedness, and domestic trade area, DTA. Domestic trade area means what? The trade area, boundary of, if you trade the product within the boundary of India, then it is called a domestic trade area. Whereas Special Economic Zone won't do the trade in the domestic trade area, rather it produces the goods mostly for export purpose, right? And also in Special Economic Zone, investment increases, right? Not only domestic investment, but also foreign investment increases in the Special Economic Zone. Why? Because there are lot of facilities. There are lot of facilities in Special Economic Zone which attracts the investment. Attracts the investment. Labor laws are also not very stringent. Labor laws are also flexible, right? And also government provides lot of infrastructure, roads, electricity, water supply, everything will be arranged by the government. Because of all these facilities, it increases the investment both from domestic and also international sector, right? Next you have employment. Obviously, when the economic activity increases, employment also increases in the Special Economic Zone. That is one concept. Then infrastructure is also given in the special infrastructure. Digital communication, that is fiber lines, electricity lines, and also oil pipelines, energy sector, energy infrastructure, everything will be provided by the government. So that is one thing. So what is India's Exim policy? Next point, you have FTA. Under India's Exim policy, we have signed FTA. What is FTA? FTA, Free Trade Agreement. Free Trade Agreement. So Free Trade Agreement we have signed with, for example, Sri Lanka, we have Free Trade Agreement. Do we have FTA with Pakistan? No, we don't have any FTA with Pakistan. We have with Sri Lanka, we have with Japan, we have with South Korea, we have with your Vietnam, Australia we are still discussing, right? So like that, free trade agreement we have with Nepal, we have with Bhutan. So we have free trade agreement with all these countries. So free trade agreementally there are some special agreements called SEPA and SECA. We will discuss what is SEPA and SECA, right? Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Next, India's Exim policy is WTO adherent. That is, India's export-import policy falls within the purview, falls within the broad framework laid down by the World Trade Organization, right? That is one thing. Next, India also provided export subsidy. Export subsidy, you have your NIRVIC scheme and also export scripts. Export scripts is there, Rcep scheme is there, NIRVIC scheme is there. Under all these schemes, export subsidy is given. Then our exports is actually diversified. We are not focused on just one or two products. If you take the early Cuba of earlier times, if you take the Cuba of earlier times and also Venezuela of present times, see, they are they are dependent on only one product, export of only one product. Cuba was dependent on the export of sugar, whereas your Venezuela is dependent on the export of oil, right? Because so whereas India is not dependent only on one product. Its export basket, the basket of goods which we export actually is diversified. Then because of export import, our forex is rising, foreign exchange. Our foreign exchange today is approximately, it is breaching, it is closing to $700 billion, $700 billion, right? Okay. So next, we will talk about foreign trade policy. This is the recent policy we have. Foreign trade policy 2015-2020. What does it aim about? It aims to increase the exports, as simple as that. Foreign trade policy must aim to increase the exports. Then while increasing the export, we have to increase the employment as well. That is also is the aim. So increase employment where? Make in India. Make in India. Atmanirbhar Bharat. A and B, Atmanirbhar Bharat. All these things, our employment, this thing is high. Export is high, right? Next, value addition. Foreign trade policy talks about value addition. Value addition means what? Value addition means we import some goods. So I'll give you the example of value addition. See, normal rice is there. Normal rice. We will take the paddy, thresh it and get the rice. So if we add value to it, how to add value? If we add fragrance to it. So if we add nutrients to it. If this rice is fortified with nutrients, then it is value addition. Value addition. So I'll give you one more example. Sugar cane is there. If we extract sugar, out of that sugar, we will make different products. That is value addition. And one more example, milk. From milk, we will do milk powder. We will do cheese. We will do ghee, butter. So all these things are value addition. Value addition of the products. So India, this foreign trade policy speaks about value addition, right? Next, the foreign trade policy also speaks about external challenges. What are the external challenges? It can be either political or it can be economic as well. Political challenge, for example, we have Donald Trump's America for Americans policy. Also, the Donald Trump removed the generalized system of preferences, GSP status. America removed the GSP status. What is GSP status? Under GSP status, this America used to procure goods from India. Andre, not only India, from developing countries. Developing countries had a preference. If there are two similar goods coming from a developed country and developing country, actually developing country had the preference. So this GSP status for India was removed. That is a external challenge. Then also India was, America told under Donald Trump, USA told India is not a developing country. That is also a challenge. That is one thing. And also, what are the external challenge? If, for example, political challenge, Ukraine, there is a war going on. So that is also an external challenge. Gulf, if the oil prices rise, that is also a challenge. So all these things are external challenges, should be responded properly. That is the aim of the foreign trade policy. And also the foreign trade policy speaks about export incentives. What is export incentive? Suppose we are exporting, the tax concession given to exporters. Tax concession, tax will be reduced. That is one thing. Second is logistics price might be decreased. Logistics, let's say if the exporters are transporting the goods by Indian Railway, so we can say if the goods is for export, we can give a concession in the transport price. That is one thing. That is one thing. And also we can give electricity subsidy, land tax subsidy for exporters. These are all export incentives, right? And also one more export incentive, if we make an agreement with the country directly, with the other country, like foreign free trade agreement, that is also a export incentives. What are the new schemes? We have brought in new schemes under our foreign trade policy, merchandise export from India scheme. So earlier we had one more scheme, we have removed it, and no, this is the old scheme actually. Merchandise export from India scheme, MEIS, merchandise export from India scheme is there. Then we have services export from India scheme. So these two deal about the goods export and services export, right? Next you have Niryat Bandhu scheme. Niryat means what? Export. Niryat means export. So the government acts as a bandhu, friend. The government acts as a friend of the exporter. That is the scheme, Niryat Bandhu scheme. Also you have Nirvik scheme. Recent scheme is Nirvik scheme. It also talks about the export promotion, right? Next, our trade policy also speaks about trade facilitation. What do you mean by trade facilitation? See, some countries are trade averse. Trade averse, that is anti-trade. So rather than being anti-trade, if the traders are coming, we should facilitate them. We should give them all the facilities. We should give them all the facilities. We should give them concessions. We should treat them with red carpet. That is what is meant by trade facilitation. We should reduce the hindrances, tax hindrance, customs hindrance, logistic hindrance, right? Government regulatory hindrance. Everything should be reduced. Then it acts as a trade facilitation. It is one of the clauses under World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization. Next, our export import should focus on less paperwork. That is paperless work. That is, in order to export or import, there should be lot of documents which needs to be filled. That should be reduced because it is going to act as a hindrance. That is one thing. Then we have signed the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement in 2016. India has signed Trade Facilitation Agreement. Facilitation of trade I have discussed already. Trade Facilitation Agreement India has signed in 2016, right? Then we have Trade Infrastructure for Export scheme. We have Trade Infrastructure for Export scheme. This is also there. Trade Infrastructure for Export scheme is also there, right? So we are providing lot of infrastructure, harbors, ports, custom clearance, logistics, railway, roadways for export. everything, electricity for export oriented units, everything we are providing. All these are the trade facilitation for export scheme, right? Next we have the Agri Export Policy 2018. It deals with the agricultural export, Agri Export Policy 2018. What is the aim of this policy? The aim of this policy is to double the agricultural export. So now the agricultural export is $30 billion, $30 billion. The agricultural export policy speaks about doubling the agricultural export. Doubling to what number? $60 billion. Next, diversify export basket. That is export basket. Suppose let's say we are exporting only onion, potato or some 2 or 3 products. So instead of that, we have to increase the export product. We have to increase the number of products. For that you can note one more scheme, that is one district, one product scheme. One product, one district, or one district, one product scheme. So this was brought under Budget 2020. Budget 2020, one district focuses on only one product for exporting, right? That is there. Then organic, traditional and ethnic products. We are focusing more and more on organic products. Organic products which are grown without any chemical fertilizers. That we are focusing. Traditional products which are brought about by in our tradition. For example, desi ghee, which is if you go to the Malnad region, there the cows there will be very short cows, right? So the milk that comes from out of that cow is considered to be very valuable in our tradition, and the ghee formed out of that cow is actually highly expensive, very valuable. So all the traditional products we have to encourage. That is one thing. Then ethnic product we can say tribal products, tribal honey, tribal rubber, tribal milk. All those things are ethnic product, should be focused in agricultural export. Is actually the aim of the agriculture export policy. Then the policy also speaks about market access and tackle SPS. Market access means what? Providing access to the market. See, there are many countries we do not provide access. Access means entry. So they do not provide entry to agricultural exports. What this policy says, the market access of Indian goods in other countries around the world should be increased. Market access should be increased. That is what this policy speaks about. And also to tackle SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Sanitary and phytosanitary. What does it mean? See, suppose you export a mango from India to European Union. There is SPS strategy there. What do? They are going to check the mango, whether it is infected with any disease, whether there is any bacteria, or is it genetically modified, or does it carry any pathogen, right? Is it manufactured using any harmful fertilizer, or is it ripened with any harmful chemical? All these things will be checked. So these are called quarantine measures or sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Because of this, what happens? That export of mangoes, if 100 mangoes are exported, 50 will get rejected, right? It is actually harmful to our export. So this agri export policy talks about the tackling the sanitary and phytosanitary. Phyto means what? Phyto means plant. Sanitary, phytosanitary, plant related sanitation. So both these things should be tackled. Next, integrate with the global value chain. So what is a value chain? Value chain. See, there is raw material. Here. Let's say milk, right? So this milk comes to the producer, comes to the cooperative. From cooperative it goes to the milk manufacturing plant. So there will be what will be there? Fertilizer. What is the process? Not fermentation. So it will be refined. Pasteurization will be done. Pasteurization of the milk will be done. After that, it will be packed into the packets, or it would be sold, or after pasteurization it might be converted into ghee, or it might be converted into cheese, right? And it would be sent to the retailer, from retailer to, so this entire thing, or it might be even converted into milk powder, and it would be exported. It would be given to some company, that company will send it to airport to so this entire chain is there, no? This is called value chain, So there are, see, this is within India. There might be value chains which is spread across the countries. Some product might be, raw material may be coming from one country, the value would be added in India, exported to some other country. One best example is your precious stones, these diamonds and all those things. Raw materials will come from Africa or Russia, precious stones, but they will be polished in India, Surat. That is where they will polish the stone and they will export to countries. So even your petroleum, crude oil comes to India from Gulf countries, and refinery, refineries is going to refine the crude oil into various fractional distillation. Various products will be got and they are going to export it. So there is a value chain, right? So there are global value chains. India has to integrate with the global value chain, that is also there, and also enable farmers. So this agricultural export policy aims at strengthening the farmers in order to reduce the farmer suicide. Everything will be the goal of the agri-export policy. So we have trade, one second. So we have trade export scheme, trade related export scheme, TIES. We have merchandise export from India scheme. We have agricultural products export scheme and MPEDA. There are many schemes. So MPEDA means what? Marine products, fish, shrimps, prawns. So all these things will be exported from India, MPEDA. And agricultural products export development authority, APEDA, it is going to focus on agricultural export, then merchandise export, and also technology or trade export from India scheme. So these are the things, these are the schemes we have in India. Next we have merchandise Exim. What is the export and import with respect to merchandise in India? First thing is, our merchandise export is $325 billion. The goods which are exporting from India is $325 billion of goods we are exporting. What are the goods that are being exported? Gems, I told you. Gemstones, precious stones we are exporting. You might ask, India doesn't have the resource of the precious stones. So we will import it first. Raw material, we will polish it. We will import the gold, we will convert it into various jewelry and we will export it. So we will export gems, we will export oil. Even though India doesn't produce much oil, we will import it, do fractional distillation, we will convert it into petrol, diesel and various products, and we will export it. We will export vehicles, Ashok Leyland, Tata, Maruti, all these products. All these vehicles you can find in South America, Africa, all those countries, right? Next, we will export machinery. Various types of machineries we are exporting, and also we are exporting pharma, medicines. India is called the what? India is called the pharmacy of the world. Why? Because India is famous in the generic medicines which are manufactured at very low cost, right? So generic medicine. So same patented medicine, if it is 1 lakh rupees in America, generic medicine, same composition, we have in India at 1000 rupees. Generic medicine produced with local products, right? Then we export the cloth, textile export is also there. So our import is more than merchandise goods, import is more than our export. Our merchandise good import is $500 billion. So it is more. We have a deficit in merchandise trade of $175 billion, right? So merchandise import is $500 billion. What do we import? I told you, oil, crude oil we will import, crude gems we are going to import, electric machinery we are importing, electric machinery, and plastics we are importing. Plastics we are importing, plastics and plastic products. We are also importing iron and steel. Iron and steel. We are importing coal. Though India is the second highest producer of coal, largest reserve of the coal, we will import the high grade coal from Australia, African countries, right? So this is our merchandise export and import, right? Okay. Next, we will talk about our trading partners, exports, merchandise, whom we are exporting more. So the first exporting partner is USA. If we are exporting 100%, 100 rupees of goods, 16 rupees of goods go to USA, 9% of goods go to UAE, United Arab Emirates, and 5% of goods go to China. 5% of goods go to China. Merchandise trade surplus, that is with which country we have a trade surplus. Trade surplus I have told you in the beginning. Which country we have more exports than imports. The countries which we have more exports is, one is United States, we are exporting more. Bangladesh we are exporting more. Nepal we are exporting more. We have trade deficit. With some countries we have trade deficit. With China we have a trade deficit. Import is more than export. What is the difference? $57 billion. China imports $57 billion more of goods than what we export to them. Next, Saudi Arabia, we have the trade deficit of $23 billion. $23 billion. Next, Iraq, we have a trade deficit of $21 billion. $21 billion, right? Okay. Next, service sector exports. Service sector. See, till now I spoke about what? Visibles. That is physical goods, also called as merchandise. Let's now move towards the service sector exports, invisibles, right? What are the? So service sector exports, we have $160 billion exports. Merchandise, $325 billion. Service sector, $160 billion. So which is the major export? Software sector is the major export in India. We are exporting lot of software goods. That is the first export. Then we have business exports. Business, various businesses. What businesses? In service, we have consultancy, financial services, real estate brokering, yes, stock market brokering, teaching services, right? Health services. All these things we are exporting. Business, we are exporting the business, and also India service sector exports our travel. Lot of travelers come to India, so we are providing service to them. So that is also being exported. Next, steps to boost the service sector exports. Services exports, how we are going to boost them? So the first thing is brand India image. See, if you go to American countries, there will be buses upon which it will be printed Incredible India. Now we are running Incredible India 2.0 scheme. That is the second version. So we have to develop a brand India. See, China has developed a brand China. So every Chinese product, we know that it will be not of good quality. That is the brand image they have. Rather, we should focus on quality. So if someone says the product is from India, they should think it is a good quality product. So we have to develop a brand India image. Point number 1. Next, we should, for MDAs, for boosting the service exports. To boost the service export, we should form a market development assistance scheme. We have to provide market assistance, market development assistance, where this service sector will be, where all this service sector will be marketed. To those markets, we have to provide assistance to our exporters in order to gain market access. So, market development assistance scheme. To expand their market to various countries, we have to provide them assistance. That is all about it. Then we should speak to America about H1B visa. H1B visa, who will be employed? The highly skilled people, high skilled persons will be given H1B visa. Their wives are given L1 visa. L1 visa, their spouses, not wives. Wife is a patriarchal term. So, spouse. So, if there is high skilled person, he will be given H1B visa for working in America. Their spouses are given L1 visas. Right? Then we should increase our trade diplomacy or commercial diplomacy. What is commercial diplomacy? So, with respect to diplomacy, international relations, it is generally thought, these diplomats generally talk about the politics. They talk about the politics. That is what we believe. Rather, you should know that there is a concept called commercial diplomacy as well. Where what is commercial diplomacy? They talk about the trade. How to increase the trade volume, how to develop the market access, how to reduce the trade barriers. All these things they are going to talk about. That is commercial diplomacy. With respect to commercial diplomacy, we have a separate division in our Ministry of External Affairs. That division is called Next Division. So, it is new emerging trade division or something. That is the definition of it. It is the next division. NEXT, next division is the commercial diplomacy division in Ministry of External Affairs. Then we have services sector, we have champion services sector. There are certain services which are called champion services sector, which are of high level. What are the champion sectors? There are 12 sectors which are highly performing in the services, high performance sectors. 12 sectors are there. So, what are those sectors? One is information technology. Information technology is the first champion service sector. Then you have tourism sector. Tourism sector is the second champion sector. Then you have legal sector, legal services. Legal lawyers are also providing services. Then you have communication sector. Communication, digital communication, mobile communication. So that communication is a champion sector, and also financial sector. That is also a champion sector, financial sector, loans and everything, right? Then what is the global share? See, with respect to merchandise goods, our global share in export is 1.7%. With respect to service share, service exports, the share is 4%. 4% is the share in our global exports. So, to increase the services exports, there is a 5,000 crore rupees dedicated fund set up under the Champion Service Sector scheme. Under Champion Service Sector project, 5,000 crore money as dedicated fund has been set up, right? Dedicated fund has been set up. Okay. Next you have the foreign trade, WTO, GATS and India. What is WTO? World Trade Organization, right? GATS. What is GATS? So earlier WTO was called as what? GATT, G-A-T-T, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. This dealt with the goods, physical goods. So the same agreement, General Agreement on Trade in Services. Trade in Services is GATT. So what is the relationship of India with respect to World Trade Organization and also GATT? So GATT has 4 modes of services. 4 modes of services. So it divides the services into 4 modes. So the mode 2 is where India is interested in. Mode 2. Mode 1, Mode 2, Mode 3, Mode 4. So Mode 4, Mode 2 is about consumption abroad. What do you mean by consumption abroad? See, let's say there is medical tourism. Medical tourism, that is a person from France comes to India, gets a liver transplant and goes back. So gets a liver transplant and goes back. So he is consuming the service abroad, right? In some other country. So Mode 2 speaks about consumption abroad. Consumption abroad. So it attract for what is the Mode 2? Attract foreign tourist. Tourism. Someone from Germany comes to India. They are spending in India. It is the service is consumed abroad. That is, suppose I give a guide service to them or some taxi service to them. The service is being provided abroad, right? So it is consumption abroad, attracting foreign tourists. 2% of tourism receipt. See, if there is 100 rupees being spent on global tourism ಅಲ್ಲಿ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2 rupees comes to India. 2% of the global tourism expenditure. Then I told you healthcare services. There are so many hospitals providing healthcare services, affordable healthcare services for foreigners, right? So we are providing healthcare services. Then we are providing academic services, higher education service, right? So you can see in Bangalore itself, lot of African students from Nepal, students from Bhutan coming and studying in India. So we are providing them academic service. Then we have Mode 3 service. What is Mode 3 service? Commercial presence. Commercial presence means what? Instead of, see here, these people came from their original country, home country, and took the service in India. Consumption abroad. Instead of that, we Indians ourselves go and give the service in the foreign country. Like we India, Infosys sets up a shop. Infosys sets up an office in America, USA. So Infosys is present in America. That is called commercial presence. That is the Mode 3. Then telecom. For example, Airtel, instead of providing service to Africans from here, Airtel goes and sets up the office in Africa. That is commercial presence. Mode 3. Then you have oil exploration. For example, instead of just importing the oil, ONGC goes to Saudi Arabia and buys a oil plant, sets up a oil plant there. That is commercial presence. So Mode 3 speaks about commercial presence, right? Next you have trading across borders. Trading across the borders andre among the countries, among the geographical borders of the countries, if the trade takes place, that is trading across borders. We have, with respect to trading across border, which index measures? Actually, it is the World Bank ease of doing business with respect to India. That is, some foreigner invests money in India. Some foreigner wants to set up a company in India. How easy is it to set up a company in India? That is measured in ease of doing business of World Bank. Ease of doing business of World Bank. That contributes to trading across the borders. Then we have, with respect to trading in India, we have customs. Customs we have reduced. Customs duty is just 10% today, right? And also we have customs clearance scheme, CCS or some scheme is there, CCS or some scheme. It is faster. It will lead to what? Faster clearance of customs. See, earlier a product comes to India, in airport it will be stuck for 1 week, 15 days in order to take the custom clearance. Now we have faster clearance of customs. Faster clearance of customs in India. And also we have National Trade Facilitation Action Plan. National Trade Facilitation Action Plan is there in India, which provides the trade facilitation for the foreigner investors. That is one thing. Next we have SWIFT. SWIFT scheme is there. What is this SWIFT scheme? It provides single window clearance. That is what is single window. Whatever the, suppose there is a foreign investor who wants to set up a company in India. He has to take so many permits, he has to take so many licenses. So he has to go to land department, he has to go to electricity department, he has to go to various authorities. So every clearance would be given by one authority. For this investor, that is under SWIFT scheme, that is single window clearance, right? Next we have challenges to export. What are the challenges in India to export? One is domestic challenge. First is domestic challenge. Export, domestic challenge. What is the domestic challenge? One is regulatory hurdles. Government is not export friendly. Regulatory hurdles are there. That is the first challenge. Second challenge is our own market. Whatever the products we produce, it is not sufficient for ourselves. So that is the second challenge. Then third challenge, the quality of products are not good. Quality of products are not good. That is third challenge, right? The fourth challenge, there is no significant innovation. We just, Indians are said to copy the products from outside. So there is no significant innovation, right? And when it comes to services, service exports, they say the quality of skills are less. So if 10 people graduate, only 4 people are employable. Rest 6 are not employable. So that is one challenge. These are the challenges to export in goods as well as services. What are the global challenges? One is technical barriers to trade. Technical barriers to trade, TBT. What is TBT? That is, see, if you export a mango, in that mango there should be only this much sweetness. That is a technical barrier to trade, right? If you export a software, in that software they would give a technical prescription that this should be written, coded in this language only. That is a technical barrier to trade. That is one thing. Then second disadvantage is, second challenge in global is SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. I have explained all that already. Third challenge is political turmoil. That is, India cannot export to Pakistan. Now China issue, Ukraine issue, China issue, one belt, one road. All these things are global challenge. And also protectionism, America for Americans policy. So all these things are challenges to export in India. Next you have GST and exports. GST and exports. So what is GST and exports? How did GST impacted the export? So is GST applicable on export? So GST is not applicable on export. So even though you are exporting a product, first you are exporting a product, even if you have paid the GST, it will be given back to you under the reimbursement clause, that GST money will be given back to you. GST and exports. Then IGST, there is IGST on import. So import, there is no SGST, it is CGST plus IGST for importing, right? So there is IGST and basic customs duty. Import mele we have basic customs duty and IGST. So export ke there is no GST, import ke only IGST plus basic customs duty. Right? So this is what with respect to the, so import ke there is no CGST and SGST. CGST no illa, SGST no illa. It is only IGST and basic customs duty. Basic customs duty goes to center, IGST goes to states. Right? Illi export ke there is whatever the GST, it will be reimbursed to promote the this thing export. So this is with respect to GST and export and import. Next, schemes. What are the schemes to promote the export and import in India? We have market access initiative. The first scheme is MAI scheme, also called as market access initiative. So what do? They will provide financial assistance to Export Promotion Council. See, there are various export promotion councils. What? GEMS Export Promotion Council. GEMS Export Promotion Council is there. Textile Export Promotion Council is there. Cotton and Jute Export Promotion Council is there. Food Products Export Promotion, Agricultural Products Export Promotion Council is there. There are various export promotion council for which under this scheme financial assistance is given, right? And also to Industry and Trade Association. Industry guno assistance kodtare, matte trade associations also they will give assistance for the medium term export promotion. For medium term export promotion, right? So export and trading houses. See, you know East India Company, right? Just like East India Company, which is an export house. So whatever the company used to take, they were not selling it within India. They used to sell it outside, that is in the England and various countries. So it acted as an export house. So export and trading house. East India Company is the best example of a trading house. So we have export and trading house. There are various schemes. One is export house. That is the first provision. Next, Star Export House. First thing is export house. Second is Star Export House. Third is trading house. Fourth is Star Trading House. Fifth is Premier Trading House. And these are the 5 types of trading houses in India. They focus on exports exclusively, right? Export and importing, right? So these are the various category of trading houses in India. 5 categories of trading houses, right? So what is the benefit of these trading houses? One is forex retention, foreign exchange retention. Andre, these export houses, these trading houses will import some products and export some products. So between the difference of import and export, there will be some foreign exchange which will be saved. That will be retained in the export houses. That forex will be added to our national reserve, national forex reserve. Forex retention is the benefit of trading house. Next we have custom clearance. These trading houses provide easy custom clearance for both import and export, so that there is no custom interest. The product will be easily exported and easily imported. That is the benefit of trading house, right? Next, served from India. Served from India means what? See, there is a, just like brand India scheme, there is served from India product. So what does it mean? It means that product comes from India. That particular good comes from India. That service is provided from India. That is also a scheme. That is a scheme served from India. So under this scheme, what happens? So under this scheme, they provide duty credit scrip. Duty credit scrip. What is duty credit scrip? So duty credit scrip andre, you export some product. You export some product for which the government will give you duty credit scrip. That is, it is just like a coupon. Duty credit scrip is like a coupon. So where do you use this coupon? You can use this when you import some product. When you export some product, you will get duty credit scrip under this served from India. This duty credit scrip you can use to import some products. So import product to duty 100 rupees, 1000 rupees product ke 100 rupee duty bide, duty credit scrip ali 50% token irutte, coupon. So your import duty will reduce by 50 rupees. This is just one example I am giving, right? This is one thing. Then you have focus market scheme. Focus market scheme means what? India has to focus on various countries. So with respect to specific products, we have to focus on specific countries. We have to focus on African countries. For food exports, we have to focus on Latin American countries. For vehicle exports, machinery exports. So each country we have to focus with respect to specialized products. What products to export to those for special countries, right? That is focus market scheme. Focus on specific countries or specific regions. So under this scheme, reduce the freight cost to select countries. Freight cost means transportation cost. So under focus market scheme, we will reduce the cost to select countries. Certain countries we will reduce the cost of export, right? That is one thing. Then you have focus product scheme. Under focus market scheme, we will focus on specific countries. Under focus product scheme, we are focusing on specific products. How to export those products? Only those products we will focus upon. Focus product scheme. So illi what does this scheme do? It is just like our one district one product scheme. Budget 2020 andre one district. Let us say there is Mandya district in Karnataka. It will focus only on sugarcane. There is Chikmagalur district in Karnataka. It will focus only on coffee production. One district, one product. So similarly, focus product andre we are specifically focusing on specific product. It will lead to high employment potential. That product will increase to focusing will increase the employment potential in that particular region. So also rural and urban areas. Urban areas will have specific products. Rural areas will have specific products. So both urban and rural, the growth will be ensured by focus product scheme. Then you have high-tech products export promotion scheme. High-tech products. What are the high-tech products? High technology products, software products, high technology machinery, your iPhones, artificial intelligence, and also your blockchain technology, big data products, machine learning products. All these things are high-tech products. So high-tech products export promotion scheme is also there. Then there is 100% export oriented units. What is this 100% export oriented units? Under this 100% export oriented units, it is all the products will be exported. No product will be sold in the domestic tariff area. Domestic tariff area, not even one product will be sold. Everything will be exported. That is 100% export oriented units. Next, you have GS1, Global Standard 1 India. So GS1 it focuses on standard of the product, the quality of the product which are being exported. GS1, Global Standard 1 India is the code. GS1 India code. So Global Standard 1. So it is given by whom? Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Global Standard 1 standard is given by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? Okay. Next, we will focus upon the institutional infrastructure. What are the institutions we have in India in order to promote the exports? One, we have Board of Trade. There is a Board of Trade. It is started in 1989. There is a Board of Trade, 1989 start agutte. So it focuses on dialogue with various stakeholders. For example, cotton export ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ, it is going to speak with the Cotton Corporation of India and also cotton producers, cotton manufacturers, cotton mills. So all stakeholders and also cotton exporters and also cotton buying countries. It is going to hold dialogue. Then even in your USA, there is a trade body, USA trade body. The head of this trade body is actually an Indian person is there. So there is a, just like that we have board of trade in India. So there is a chairman for this board of trade. So they advise the government. They advise the government on various trade related things, various trade related products. So they hold quarterly meetings. They hold what? Quarterly meetings. Okay. Quarterly andre once in 3 months. Once in 3 months they are going to hold meeting. Board of Trade headed by a chairman. Next you have Interstate Trade Council. Interstate Trade Council, it was started in 2005. Interstate Trade Council 2005 start ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Interstate means what? Among the states, between the states. There is a trade council 2005 start ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. It also focuses on dialogue with various states, dialogue with various stakeholders, dialogue with exporters, manufacturers, all those things. Then it is also headed by a chairman appointed by government. Here also chairman is appointed by the government. Then you have Export Promotion Council. We have various Export Promotion Council, as I said earlier. Gems Export Council, Oil Export Council, Cotton Export Council, right? Like that there are various Export Council. Export Council, it is a non-profit organization. Export Promotion Council doesn't take any profit. It is a zero profit organization, non-profit organization. It has both advisory and executive functions. What is the advisory function? Andre, it is going to advise the government. Advise on what? Advise to reduce the trade barriers. Also to advise the government to promote the trade. So that is what the advisory function of the Export Promotion Council. What is the executive function? Executive function means what? Administrative function. So your IAS, IPS people are called as executives. Executives of the government. Government itself is called the executive wing. Right? Who is the head of the executive? It is the president. Right? So this Export Promotion Council, they focus upon registering the exported trade houses. Exporting companies iruttala, those will be registered by this Exported Promotional Council. So only when these companies are registered under Export Promotion Council can the export take place. Right? This is one thing. So what are the export councils? I told you Apparel Export Council is there, Cotton Export Council is there, Gem Export Council is there. Likewise, there are many Software Export Council. There are many things. Software gate is NASSCOM, NASSCOM. That deals with the software thing in India. Right? So then you have Commodity Board. Commodity Board also deals with the exports. Commodity means what? Product, physical good. So it is under Ministry of Commerce or Department of Commerce kedak barutte Commodity Board. Then you have Agricultural Product Export Development Agency. See, you will be surprised that this is not under Agriculture Ministry. APEDA is under Ministry of Commerce. It is not under Agriculture Ministry. This will be asked in your prelims. APEDA is under Ministry of Commerce. 1968 Act Prakara, APEDA will be formed. APEDA will be formed in the 1968 Act. Then you have MPEDA, Marine Product Export Development Agency. This was formed in 1972. First you have MPEDA, then you have APEDA. MPEDA headquarters ellide, Marine Product Export Development Agency. The headquarters is in Kochi. Right? Okay. Then you have Exim Bank, Export Import Bank. It is a special purpose vehicle. It was started in 1981. 1981 Exim Act Prakara. This Exim Bank will be formed. So what does it do? It finances the exports. Exporters, it is going to give finance to the exporters. Right? And also to the importers. Then you have Export Credit Guarantee Council. Export Credit Guarantee Council. So what does it do? It gives insurance cover. Why insurance cover is required for export? See, we suppose, let's say there is company XYZ. It exports some product to some foreign country. He will not give money. Or this product while traveling in the ship, the ship will sink and the product gets lost. Or this product goes to this country, their custom clearance agala, the product will get spoiled. Especially if it is an agricultural product. Avaga Export Credit Guarantee Council, what does it give? It gives insurance to such products. So you have to insure yourself with the ECGC, Export Credit Guarantee Council, in order to avail the insurance facility. Next, you have exports and employment. So exports obviously impact the employment. It is going to have a significant increase in the employment numbers. So there are 12 sectors, that is the champion sectors identified by the government, which have a significant impact on employment. 12 sectors where the exporters have a significant impact on the employment. What are the 12 sectors I have discussed earlier? So, illi, what are the employmentally there are certain hindrances. Export alli, in order to promote export, there are certain employment hindrances. One is labor laws. Earlier there was lot of hindrance. Now labor hindrance andre problems. Now labor laws has been what? They have been simplified. So many labor laws, Factories Act, Mines Act, Coals Act, and also your Employment Provident Fund Act, Industrial Dispute Act, Social Security Act, everything is including your Employment State Insurance Corporation Act, everything is combined into 4 labor codes now. 4 labor codes. What are Minimum Wages Act? So what are the 4 labor codes? We have, one is Code on Wages. Code on Wages is the first thing. Code on Industrial Disputes. Code on Social Security. And Code on Working Conditions. So these are the these are the 4 codes, labor codes which we have now. Then we have SMEs, Small and Medium Enterprises. Exports only, these SMEs are playing a big role. Up to 50% of the export goods. India 100 products export madre, 50% of the goods come from SMEs, Small and Medium Enterprises. Then we have what? State and export efforts. What do the individual states? See, till now whatever I spoke, it is all India level. What are the measures which are being done in order to promote the exports, right? So what is the measure that is being done in order to promote exports at the state level? Individual states ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾವೆ? One, there is aside ಅಂತ ಒಂದು scheme ಇದೆ. Aside scheme by the states in order to promote export, and SEZ also falls under the special economic zone, also falls under the state's purview. That is there. Then also we have agri export zone. Agriculture is a state subject. Under agri export zone, we are forming proper export zones in the states. That is there. So these are the activities which are being done in order to promote exports at the state level, right? Okay. Next, trade finance. See, in order to promote export and import and export, we have to finance the trade. But there are lot of barriers. First is the currency barrier. They won't accept money in rupee. Right? They won't accept the money in rupee. Then there is a need of credit. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದಾದರೂ products if you want to buy, if you are buying it within India, you can take the loans from bank and give it to them. But how would you take loan for buying a product in foreign country? Right? So, alli trade finance, this clause of trade finance will come into picture. So, first is letter of understanding. What is this letter of understanding? See, it is a bank guarantee. See, suppose you take letter of understanding. Understanding between whom? Understanding between the importer and a local bank. So local bank, that is, let's say SBI. So there is a letter of understanding signed between these two people. So this SBI will give letter of understanding. So this person will take this letter of understanding and go to, let's say, he is importing from, let's say, Germany. He will go to Germany. He will give this letter of understanding to where? To a foreign bank. Foreign bank will accept this letter of understanding and give him loan. From that loan, he is going to import the products to India. Did you get it? How loans are being taken to import products from foreign countries? It is based on letter of understanding. Local banks will give the letter of understanding. That letter will be taken to foreign country. Therefore, it will be given to foreign bank. It will give the credit. With that credit, we are going to import the products into India, right? So it is a bank guarantee. Bank is going to guarantee that you give loan to this person, I am responsible, right? So bank guarantee, raise money from foreign banks. Then there is letter of credit. Credit andre sala. So this will be not be given to foreign banks. Rather, it will be given to the exporting agency. Andre foreign in the Germany, someone is sending car to India. Indian importer will take a letter of credit from the bank and give it to the foreign company. He will have this letter of credit and gives debt or salavanna kodtane, right? That is letter of credit. Then letter of comfort. Letter of comfort. What is letter of comfort? See, it is given by a parent company. That is parent company andre, you take the example of Vodafone. And there is Vodafone is the global organization. You have Vodafone India, which is Indian branch. India branch is there, right? So under letter of comfort enagutte, parent company, if Vodafone India wants to buy some products from some foreign country, let's say Singapore, avaga Vodafone India, just by looking at Vodafone India, they are not going to give loans. Who? Singapore. What they do? Avaga this company will approach its foreign parent. Vodafone World na approach madutte. This Vodafone approach word will give a letter of comfort. So that letter of comfort will be taken to Singapore and given to that company which is exporting. So letter of comfort len helutte, don't worry, this entity is my subsidiary. He is like my child. So you give loan to him, you give products to him. Don't worry, that is the letter of export issued by the parent company to a subsidiary company in order to import goods. That is one thing. So apart from that, with respect to trade finance, there is bank guarantee. Banks are going to give guarantee to exporters and importers. Andre, if Indian wants to import some, let's say India wants to Indian merchant in this wood products, wood manufacturer, all these doors, carpenters or whatever the work they do. So suppose there is a timber merchant. What he will do? He wants to import this teak. Teak is available in Burma, Myanmar. That is called Burma teak. If Indian timber merchant wants to import the Burma teak, right? So what he will do? He will take a bank guarantee from India and give to the Burmese company. The Burmese company will start the export to India. That is bank guarantee. Point number 1. That is a trade finance. How trade finance will be done. Second is insurance. Insurance for trade. What is trade insurance? Whatever I told earlier. If the product gets spoiled in between, the ship carrying the product will sink. So many things. Suppose war alli other missile bandi products get hampered, destroy adre, there will be insurance, or the importing person will not pay the money. So then insurance will be provided. Then you have the concept of factoring, which is very difficult, very important. What is factoring? Factoring means what? Do you know the concept of discounting a check? Check discount. So factoring andre, see, let us say company MN is there. Company MN is exporting fish to Europe. He is exporting fish to Europe. So illi MN fish na Europe ಗೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇವನು immediate ಆಗಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, right? So rather he will give a bill or give a document saying that I owe them this much money, I will pay later anta. Sarina, this document will be given to MN company from foreign company which imports the fish from India. So this MN company etra, this letter will be there. So illi certain companies will be there. Factoring companies anta irtade. So you know 1 crore astu fish na import madidane, this letter is worth 1 crore. So ivrige ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, these people want money immediately, whereas this person is not giving money immediately. So what they do, they will take this letter and go to factoring company. Factoring company ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, instead of 1 crore they will give 99 lakh. Letter na ಇಸ್ಕೊಂತಾರೆ 99 lakh they will give. So ಇವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಈ ಲೆಟರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, later from this company they will take the money. From that foreign company they are going to give that letter and take the money. This is the business of factoring. Check discount ಮಾಡ್ಸ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, instead of the entity somebody else will give you money, you can, but they will keep a commission. Like that factoring companies will keep a commission. This is trade finance with respect to export and import. Then you have FTA and India. FTA ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, free trade agreement and India. How free trade agreement is helping India or is it harming India? What is free trade agreement? Free trade agreement andre, see, in export and import every country will impose some tariff, right? Tariff andre customs duty, so many things they are going to impose. So aa tara customs na if we are not imposing any such customs, then that is called as free trade agreement, right? So it is as simple as this. There should be no difference between a product you buy from Hyderabad there and also a product you buy from Singapore. Both should be treated equally. That is the concept of free trade agreement. So idralli eliminate tariff and non-tariff barriers. Tariff andre eno, tax. First, import tax barriers we should remove. That is the first thing. And also we should remove non-tariff barriers. What are non-tariff barriers? What are the types of your technical barriers to trade, TBT, and also SPS. These are non-tariff barriers. Examples of non-tariff barriers. Andre this product should be coded. Yavado one technology ide, idun ide tara manufacture madirbeku. If a mango is there, it should be like this only. And also these are some of the non-tariff barriers which is not related to tax. Tax related alla. Political barrier is also a non-tariff barrier. That is, India is not importing from Pakistan. It is a non-tariff barrier, political issue, right? And also one more non-tariff barrier is Europe may say if you employ child labor in the factories, then we are not going to import. That is a non-tariff barrier. And also if the European countries say that if your factory is emitting so much and so much of carbon dioxide, then we are not going to import from your country. That is a non-tariff barrier. These are the non-tariff barriers that are there with respect to the countries, right? These are the examples. Next, this FTA and India, with respect to that we have a free trade agreement in goods, Goods related free trade agreement we have free trade agreement with respect to services and also free trade agreement. Also there is issue of IPR. There is no free trade agreement. There is issue of IPR. Trade anta bandre there are only three things. One is goods, second is services, third is intellectual property rights. So goods and services I have explained. Intellectual property is what I have told. Intellectual property of the brain. That is, you invest 100 crore and invent a vaccine. You have the intellectual property for that vaccine, right? So this is the IPR. These three things are comes under trade. So FTA in India, what does FTA in the ಏನೇನಾಯ್ತು Indiaದಲ್ಲಿ goods import extra increase ಆಯ್ತು, India's service exports increase ಆಯ್ತು. IPR issues actually became problematic. See, one ರೀತಿಲಿ Indiaದಲ್ಲಿ import of goods increased. India's export also increased, but the amount of import was actually very high. So it is a negative of FTA. Then services, not every country accepted India's services. So it was actually backfired. Then also you have IPR. Because of this free trade agreement, IPR issues came up. Andre intellectual property rights. India actually doesn't have any stringent, it doesn't follow stringently intellectual property rights. So with respect to trade, IPR became an issue after free trade agreement. That is, India is not respecting the intellectual property rights. What do you mean by not respecting? Suppose a company, foreign company, manufactures some vaccine or some medicine, investing thousands of crores of rupees, right? So this medicine comes to India. What does India do? This comes at 1,000 crore. One medicine is 1 lakh. Andre India davaru ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? E medicine they take and do reverse engineering. They will find out what are the chemicals in that. They are going to create a generic version. Local, Janoshadi. They are going to manufacture locally and give that medicine at 100 rupees. Right? So it is a breach of intellectual property. You are the intellectual, foreign country intellectual property, we are not respecting. So that is one issue. Next we have investment. FTA bandmele actually India dolge investment bantu. India investment also increased to other countries. Right? That is, what are the types of FTA? What are the types of FTA? One is SEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Yav countries jote ide? South Korea and Japan. SEPA. SECA, CECA. Which countries we have SECA with? We have with Singapore and Vietnam. We have SECA. Right? Next you have Preferential Trade Agreement. What is a Preferential Trade Agreement? What is the difference between free trade agreement and preferential trade agreement? Free trade agreement ali all the products are allowed for free trade. There is no customs duty. Preferential trade agreement ali what happens? Not all products, only selected products. Preference for only those products for which we have given preference, for them only we are giving the trade concessions. This is the difference. So preferential trade agreement ali there is a positive list of products for which preferential trade is given. That is preferential trade agreement. Free trade agreement ali there is a negative list. Andre ella products ku free trade agreement apply agutte, but only for certain products it won't apply. So that is, it has a negative list. Positive list andre positive list ali irodakke apply agutte. Under PTA negative list, under FTA negative list ali irodakke apply agalla. So idralli number of products is more, idralli number of products is less. As simple as that. Then there is concept of early harvest scheme. See, whenever two countries want to sign a free trade agreement ke baro munche baro agreement e early harvest scheme. It is a predecessor of free trade agreement. Early harvest scheme enak ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ with respect to free trade agreement? Why early harvest scheme would be done? Because in order to build confidence, just free trade agreement na direct sign madre, it might lead to lot of issue. it might lead to public protest, the industry protest. It might lead to rise in prices. It might lead to compromise in quality. So many things. So first we will sign the what? We will sign the early harvest scheme. Later, once this is successful, we will sign the free trade agreement. Right? This is the concept. Right? Confidence building. Then you have BTIA, Bilateral Trade and Investment Agreement. This agreement is being negotiated between European Union and India. European Union and India is negotiating bilateral trade and investment agreement. Right? Okay. So then there is mutual recognition agreement. Mutual recognition agreement. What is mutual recognition agreement? It is simple. Mutual recognition andre, if India dalli some products, see, let's say, if we are manufacturing a textile or plastic, if you are manufacturing plastic, plastic should be of only this much quality. Iste quality irbeku anta rules irutte. So similarly, let's say France, let's say we have signed a mutual recognition agreement in France, with France in 2018. France alli it manufactures some cotton cloth. ಆ ಕ್ಲೋತ್ದು ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ರಿನ್ಯೂವಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ recognizes this condition and France recognizes India's condition, that is called mutual recognition agreement. Our laws na France laws we are going to respect with respect to quality, and Indian laws with respect to quality France is going to respect. That is the mutual recognition agreement, right? So France jote 2018 alli we have signed. Next we have the concept of foreign trade and economic integration. Integration means what? Integration means what? Integration means coming together. Many countries coming together is called integration. Integration of the countries. So today countries are divided in political boundaries, geographical boundaries. So the only way to connect the countries is via economic integration and also cultural integration, people to people integration. So foreign trade leads to economic integration. So economic integration alli enagutte, if we integrate the economies, Indian economy is integrated with Sri Lanka economy, Nepal economy, Bhutan economy. If we integrate the economy, the policies will become similar. Economic policies, money related policy, interest related policy, credit related policy, export related policy, quality related policy, all these policies will be unified, unification of policies. So we have first foreign trade economic integration. First we have most favored nation. Most favored nation. What is most favored nation? Who gives this most favored nation status? See, World Trade Organization gives the concept of most favored nation. World Trade Organization. What is most favored nation andre? Simple. If India gives a concession to, let's say, Vietnam jote trade ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ India gives some concession to Vietnam, reduces the duty, reduces the tax to Vietnam. It has to do with every other country, not only with Vietnam, it has to replicate with all the countries, right? India gives concession to one, it should give concession to all. Similarly, every country, if country X give concession to country Y, it should give to all the countries, right? So this is the concept of MFN. So under MFN, World Trade Organization most favored nation clause, every country should give concession to every other country. Every country should recognize every other country as a most favored nation, right? Okay. Next we have free trade agreement. That also leads to economic. MFN leads to economic integration. Countries will come together because of MFN. Then free trade agreement also leads to economic integration. Because of free trade, there will be more trade, economy gets more and more integrated, and also SEPA and SECA also leads to economic integration, because SEPA and SECA both are a form of free trade agreement, comprehensive economic partnership agreement, comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. Both of these lead to your form of FTA, they lead to economic integration. So economic integration there are various levels. The first level is early harvest scheme. I told you. Idr next to there is PTA, preferential trade agreement. Idr next to there is free trade agreement. All these three things I have explained till now. So next comes customs union. Customs union andre there is no customs between the countries. Customs ide iralla. There will be custom free andre zero duty. There will be proper customs union. Andre there will be no customs barrier among the countries. Where country X can send product to country Y to country Z. There is no custom barrier. There is no check post. That is customs union. There is zero duty. But see, let's say there are these many countries. They form a customs union. Sarina. Idru ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರೋ countries ಗೆ there is zero duty. But with external countries, they may have tariff. But that tariff will be common. Andre see, European Union is a customs union. So European Union alli ellinda ellige product ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು there is zero duty. But European Union in the ಬೇರೆ country ಇಂದ import ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ there is standard duty, one single rate, that is common external tariff with the outside countries. Then you have the concept of common market. Common market alleno, it is a next version of customs union. Next version, EHS, PTA, FTA, customs union, common market. Common market andreno, under this free movement. Andre see, custom union alli there will be still be visa regulations. Illi there is absolutely free movement. Even people can travel from one country to another country. In your European Union, you have Schengen visa. From one country to another, if you are born in one country, you can go to another country and work. So that is the concept of Schengen visa, right? So common market alli there is free movement of goods, free movement of services, and also free movement of people in the common market. Then you have economic union. Economic union andre eno, it is a common market. First it is common market plus fiscal and monetary policy. Common market irbeku, free movement irbeku, plus countries do policy iruttala. Fiscal policy andre eno, government policy. Monetary policy means RBI policy. So if all the countries coordinate their fiscal policy, if all the countries coordinate their monetary policy, then it is a economic union. It is a mix of common market plus fiscal and monetary policy. That is economic union. So illi EU is a economic union. EU is a economic union, right? Your European Union is a economic union, right? Then you have the monetary union. Monetary union means what? It is a next level. When the economic union has a same currency. When economic union has same currency, then it is a monetary union. European Union is not only economic union, it is a monetary union because there is a common currency. Which is the common currency in European Union? It is euro. Euro is the common currency, right? So this is all about the different types of economic integration. Then you have the concept of free trade agreement, pros and cons, positives and negatives of free trade agreement. So the positive of free trade agreement is easier market access. When you sign a free trade agreement, there will be the goods and services will be easily transported. You get market access to various countries. That is one thing. Then there is preferential treatment. When you have a free trade agreement with one country, let's say India has free trade agreement with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka will give preference to India as compared to some other country XYZ with which it doesn't have a FTA. So similarly, India will give preference to Sri Lankan goods with Sri Lankan goods compared to other countries, because with that we have FTA, right? That is one thing. Then free trade FTA, free trade agreement, leads to increase in investment. Economic investment ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ because of free trade agreement. Then free trade agreement, what are the cons? That is, what are the negatives of free trade agreement? The negatives is domestic economy will be hampered. If you see, I said there is a free trade agreement. Free trade agreement in the we are going to import a lot of rubber. So rubber price will be actually less. Let's say the country exporting rubber is exporting at a very low price. Isn't it hampering our own domestic manufacturers? Our domestic manufacturers will go into loss because of free trade agreement. Adene free trade agreement ilde importing rubber mele now tax hakadre enagutte, that price will be high. So avaga enagutte, our domestic rubber will sell. So it is actually, free trade agreement is actually hampering the domestic economy. And also, because of free trade agreement, there is a loss of revenue. There is a loss of tariff revenue. What do you mean by loss of tariff revenue? See, tax iddaga, when the product comes into India, we are imposing some tariff on that product. So it would lead to revenue. Free trade agreementally, we are not imposing any tax. So it leads to loss of revenue, right? Then environment cost. See, because of free trade agreement, the trade will increase like anything. Transportation ella, logistics ella tumba jasti agutte. Because of which the pollution will increase and it will lead to increasing environmental cost, right? Okay. So then I have discussed the concept of FTAs, free trade agreements. So next we have trade creation. What do you mean by trade creation? See, trade creation andre, it means creating trade. That is, trade enu iralla. Among two countries, there won't be any trade. There will be zero trade. We will proactively go and create the trade. We will proactively export. Artificially creating the trade. ಎರಡು countryಗೂ necessity ಇರಲ್ಲ trade ಮಾಡೋದು. But even then we will create trade. That is trade creation. Then what? Trade diversion. What is trade diversion? See, country A is exporting to country B. Country A is exporting to country B, but ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ country C ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Why trade diversion ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ let's say 10% tax ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. So country C comes, it imposes 0% tax. So whatever the trade that was going here is diverted to country C, right? So this is the concept of trade diversion. Trade is diverted to some other country because of some economic or trade benefit, right? Next you have RCEP. RCEP. What is RCEP? It is a regional comprehensive economic partnership. Regional comprehensive economic partnership. Among what countries RCEP was signed? Actually, it was proposed to be signed with ASEAN countries. ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. How many countries are there? 10 countries are there. Starting from here, Myanmar, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, Brunei, Philippines, right? So totally 10 countries are there in your ASEAN, right? So RCEP is signed between ASEAN plus 6 FTA countries. See, this Asian grouping is yella. This Asian grouping has free trade agreement with just 6 countries. What are the 6 countries? One is Australia, New Zealand. Australia, New Zealand. Next is Japan and South Korea. And the third is India and China. So, each countries jote it has free trade agreement. RCEP is a high level free trade agreement between these countries, ASEAN plus 6 countries, right? So what is the concerns? See, India did not join RCEP. India, though it was forced to, India did not join RCEP. Why? It will lead to trade deficit. Trade deficit andre RCEP join agbitte because it is a free trade agreement. China will push lot of goods into India. Not only China, your Asian countries will also push lot of goods into India. Avag enagutte, our imports will become more, exports will become less, because those countries do not have any requirement. We have requirement. Our imports will become more. So it will lead to trade deficit. Trade deficit andre gottalla, it is exports, high exports minus, it is less exports and high imports. Trade deficit. Then agriculture ke problem agutte. Why agriculture? There will be a problem. See, your dairy is also a part of agriculture. Alu utpanna. It is part of agriculture. So what happens? These countries, Australia and New Zealand, they are too good in manufacturing milk. Our cows, they give hardly how much milk? Our cows yield is very less, whereas the yield of milk in Australia and New Zealand is very, very high, too much. So because of which, what happens? If we join this, instead of Indian milk, India is the highest producer of milk. Instead of Indian milk, foreign milk will come into India, right? Not only that, agricultural products. Our agricultural products will be not sold. Foreign agricultural products will come to India. That is the danger. Next, services. See, these countries are saying RCEP we will sign, but they are saying we will sign only in goods, with respect to goods, not services. See, India the strength is services. If we are not signing the RCEP in services, it is actually a loss to India. We are just signing with goods, but goods only we are an importer. Merchandise we are importers. So services only if you are not signing, it is a loss to India. That is why, and also it will hamper the domestic industries. RCEP na now sign madre, our domestic industries will go into losses. That is one thing. And also China factor. China factor. What is China factor? Under China factor, actually what happens? China, if we sign the RCEP, since China is also part of the RCEP, these Chinese goods, so because free trade, ivagle ashtu export ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Now only the trade deficit is $55 billion. So if we sign the RCEP, the amount of goods imported into India will be too much, right? So that is one factor. Next you have IPRs, intellectual property rights. See, India is not a stringent follower of IPRs, I told you already. So RCEP sign madre now IPR na follow madlebekadanta condition bartade. So India, it is a disadvantageous to India with respect to IPR regulation as well. With respect to IPR also, we will be in disadvantage. Next topic is South-South trade. What do you mean by South-South trade? So South-South trade means, is it only the countries in the southern region? No. South means what? So you should know it in the international relations. North countries are called developed countries. South countries are developing countries. Developing countries. So trade among the developing countries is called the South-South trade. Trading among the developing countries is called the South-South trade. Among the developing countries, the trade has increased 5-fold. 5 time increase agide in last 30-40 years. The trade has increased by 5 times to $5.5 trillion. The trade has increased to $5.5 trillion, right? So there is huge growth. Why South-South trade is increasing? One is, in the developing countries there is huge growth. And second, as you said, huge population, huge market. And the third is scope for liberalization. In these developing countries, the economy is controlled by market, controlled by the government. So there is a scope for liberalizing the economy. Economy na liberalize ಮಾಡಬಹುದು in these countries, right? And also this South-South trade actually exceeds the developed world. It exceeds the developed world, right? So this is the concept of andre the trade among the developing countries is higher than the trade among the developed countries, right? Okay. So I told you non-tariff barriers. Since I have already discussed, we will finish with this. Non-tariff barriers. So barrier to trade based not on taxes but based on some other factors. What are the factors? Weak labor laws. Andre India dalli labor law is weak, so we are not going to import from India anta Europe helbodu. That is a non-tariff barrier. Exclusion based on weak labor laws. First thing, child labor. If we are employing child labor, Europe may say you are employing child labor, we are not going to import from you. That is one thing. And if there is human right violation, that is also a non-tariff barrier. Tariff barrier andre ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ human right violation ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, so we are not going to import from you. That is one thing. Then backdoor protectionism andre rather than directly saying that we are not going to import, indirect measures andre directly saying America for Americans anta direct ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ backdoor protectionism andre indirect ಆಗಿ they are going to restrict the trade. That is one thing. That is also a non-tariff barrier. Then you have H1B visa. Visa numbers munche it used to be in lakhs. Now after Trump came, it is reduced to thousands. So that is also a non-tariff barrier. Also non-tariff barrier alli this SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary. I told you sanitary phytosanitary enu anta with respect to mango example. That is one thing. Adru kuda non-tariff barrier. Also technical barriers to trade. I told you technical barriers. If there is a software, it should be coded only in this language another. It is a technical barrier. So all these things are actually non-tariff barriers, which are not tax barriers. So we will end the class here today. We will continue tomorrow. So please make good use of the classes. If you have any doubts, put it in the comment box. Also, you can join our Telegram channel, VHS Education Forum, for any further queries. Please take care of your health. We will meet tomorrow. Take care. Jai Hind. Namaste.